Welcome to the maiden edition of NASS This week.
And what he is praying now is
that in this scenario, the key of Kano State
will be given priorities and so that at the end of
Welcome to NASS This week. Follow, share, and subscribe to our social media handles at EkoHotBlog. My name is Comfort Olayinka. On Tuesday, Honorable Sada Soli called on the Federal Capital Territory to commence issuance of certificates of occupancy to house owners located within the mass housing estate scheme. On Wednesday, Honorable Kalejaiye Adeboye Paul moved as a matter of urgent importance a motion on the need to address the tragic incident that occurred at Ladipo Plank Market in Lagos State, and it was seconded by Honorable Adebayo Adepoju. He called on the Ministry of Humanitarian Service as well as the Federal Emergency Management Agency to provide relief and succor to the victims.
I rise this morning to present a motion of urgent public importance to address the tragic incident that occurred at Ladipo Market in Ajeromi Ifelodun Federal Constituency in Lagos State. The incident occurred last week in Ajeromi Ifelodun Federal Constituency at the Ladipo Market in Amokoko, precisely. The inferno gutted over 1,000 shops and left the entire market devastated. Aware that the tragic incident has left the affected traders and artisans in the state distress and in despair. Also aware that the Ladipo Plank Market, despite its name, was not limited to selling of planks alone. It also accommodates artisans such as tailors, fashion designers, and other traders within the market. I have personally visited the market, and I wish that this Honorable House resolve to urge the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Services to provide adequate financial support to the affected market. Also urge this House to resolve to direct the National Emergency Management Authority to provide emergency relief for this market.
Honorable Ibrahim Ayokunle Isiaka moved for road development and erosion control of the underpass at Wawa and Kara section along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
I rise, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, my colleagues, to move a motion on the road development and erosion control of the underpass at Wawa and Kara sections along the ever-busy Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The House notes that Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is the oldest and most active intercity dual carriageway connecting Lagos to other parts of the country and facilitating international trade, with an estimated 250,000 daily passenger car per unit, PCU. At the Wawa and Kara sections of the expressway were not factored into the scope of work, which can serve as traffic engineering to optimally utilize the road network when completed to reduce congestion during the peak logging. Also urge the Federal Ministry of Works to construct roads to and from Wawa and Kara markets along the expressway to serve as a recovery zone for vehicles straining from the expressway. The House also mandates the committees on works and appropriation to ensure that budgetary provisions are made for the additional scope of work as stated herein. Finally, the House mandates the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure that the resolution of this House is strictly complied with.
On Thursday, Honorable Ganiu Adele Ayuba moved for the investigation of flood disaster and erosion in white sand areas of Alimosho Federal Constituency of Lagos State.
To move the motion regarding the flood disaster and erosion in white sand area of Alimosho Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, the House notes that heavy rainfall and floods have caused significant damage in communities like white sand, Fagbile, in erosion, Alimosho Federal Constituency, linking the 6th Avenue, First Town in Amuwo Odofin, Federal Constituency of Lagos State. Destroying goods and property worth millions of naira and leaving thousands of residents homeless. They are also mandating the Committee on Environment, Ecological Fund, and Works to undertake a tour and assessment of the affected area, ascertain the level of damage to the communities and liaise with relevant agencies to recommend measures to tackle the menace. And the House finally mandate the Committee on Works and Appropriation to make provision in the 2024 budget estimates to rehabilitate the damaged roads in Alimosho Federal Constituency of Lagos State.
Now the Senate. The Senate has resolved to include the dredging of River Benue, River Niger and other major rivers in the 2024 budget with a view preventing future reoccurrence of flooding in the country. The Senate, during an emergency session on Monday, also requested the President to consider the construction of the Dasin Hausa Dam in Adamawa to prevent excessive flooding from the Ladon Dam in Cameroon.
Of the river, which in 2022 alone, according to NEMA, displaced over 2.41 million people across, and over 600 fatalities were recorded, with expensive hectares of farmland across the state affected were swept off. Further disturbed that the result of the flood by the River Benue on Wednesday, 1st of November 2023, 32 people were on board trying to cross the river at Garin Alaji near Chikito village, where the boat capsized, but only 7 bodies were recovered and 5 people rescued alive. The remaining are still unaccounted for. 2, urge the President to also facilitate the construction of Dasin Hausa Dam, proposed to be in full for the local government to curtail potential risks of excessive flood from Lagdo Dam in Cameroon.
The Senate has on Tuesday charged its Committee on Establishments and Public Service Matters, Committee on Employment, Labor and Productivity, and Committee on Federal Character to carry out a holistic investigation on the illegal employment of the Federal Civil Service Commission officers.
That the federal government has discovered about 1,618 civil servants with fake employment letters. Further disturbed that whereas the introduction of IPPIS was meant to curtail and ultimately eliminate illegalities in the civil service in terms of human resource and payroll management, human factor in its application seemed to be jeopardizing this noble objective of government. Regrets also that employees of government are capitalizing on insider abuse to undermine the efficiency of the IPPIS and to perpetrate unwholesome activities, resulting in cases of salary pardons, ghost names in the government payrolls, among others. The Senate therefore resolves to mandate the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters to, as a matter of urgency, carry out a holistic investigation on this matter and come up with proper recommendations to the Senate.
It appears that some of these MDAs bypass this agency and continue to employ people on their own without reverting to the purpose for which the Service Commission was established, which is to bring equality, fairness to the process. And so you have many states that are underrepresented in different MDAs because they don't know one or two persons in high positions that will hire them. And so we must take this motion very seriously to bring sanity to the process so that at least our citizens can feel a sense of belonging to the country Nigeria.
On Wednesday, the Nigerian Senate resolved to probe alleged unwholesome practices by the Joint Admission Matriculation Board (JAMB). The upper legislative chamber says the move is to curtail practice of undisclosed admission and other unwholesome practices by the board and universities in Nigeria, particularly the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, UNN. This is sequel to a motion during a plenary on Wednesday by Senator Peter Nwabonyi of Ebonyi State.
Senate informed that the authorities of tertiary institutions in cohorts with some JAMB officials have reverted to the practice of provisional admissions into priced professional courses like medicine and surgery, pharmacy, law, engineering, nursing sciences, etc., with a view to shortchanging some students already offered admission in exchange for gratification. Senate also informed of the travel of one Mr. Chinyere Ekwe and other 290 other students who were admitted to study medicine and surgery at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, but had their admission truncated on the order of JAMB for non-plausible reasons after they had completed admission processes and resumed lectures and also paid their school fees. Mrs. Ekwe in particular scored 291 in the 2009 UTME exams and 300 in the University Post-UTME, which qualified her for the course.
We've come to the end of this week's NASS This Week. Join us same time next week. Bye for now.